mobile phone in your hand, and if you store whatever information related to you or any office or company, all that can be taken away if we have not taken proper care. Yesterday, I think Indravani must have told you what are all the ways and measures how to protect your mobile phone data. In fact, in mobile phones, three different settings we have to really take care. One, the mobile phone operating system settings. Number two, different browsers setting. Number three, the applications which we download, the settings of those applications. In these three areas, we just download and start using it, and which application is taking your data, accessing your data, stealing your data, we do not know. And with our own mistake, we happen to share everything to them. So unfortunately, people are not really taking care. Some people are taking care, but not all. Most of the users are passive users. They don't know the technology, they still use it. These passive users share a lot of things and take risk. These people ignorantly fall in prey. Whereas the technocrats who are working in software industry, they are also becoming victims because of overconfidence. One is through ignorance they are becoming victims. Other one is becoming victim through overconfidence. They think that nothing will happen to us. It is not like that. If the criminal is more knowledgeable than you, who is having lot of tools available online, and who has no other work except to steal our content. For us, we have to have lot of work. We are all doing different works, and still we are using computer. So our work is, computer is only a part of our work. For the criminal, computer is not part of their work. That is their work. They will access, they will use all those tools available. They develop tools, they access tools, they utilize tools used by others. All these methods they are using to steal our data. There are several ways to block mobile attacks. First thing is the Wi-Fi. Generally, people, they use Wi-Fi. Wherever unsecured Wi-Fi is there, first thing public interest is, let us use the internet available in free Wi-Fi. Why will anybody will give free? If not the governments I'm talking about. Many other areas, if you just scan your mobile phone 100, 150 feet distance, at least 100 unsecured Wi-Fi routers will be present. Some may be keeping it ignorantly, some may be intentionally they are giving access to individuals their Wi-Fi. Once you access their Wi-Fi, nothing prevents them to penetrate into your mobile phone or computer. There are several hundreds of tools available. Very easily one can penetrate into others' computer if they are in my network. Second thing is applications. Lot of applications, for no reason, they will ask our microphone, our contacts, our text messages, our camera, our photos, everything it will automatically ask while you are downloading the application. The application will access everything. If you particularly go into the settings and prevent that access, it starts accessing. There is no bar. Browser setting is one more. Somebody is talking. Please switch off your audio. Mute your audio, please. Next, the Bluetooth. Bluetooth is also everybody is using to access their mobile phone. Pandari Ramesh, please do not disturb. Don't ask for annotate. And next is the smishing. Too many SMSs are coming from as if they are coming from the known company. Once you click it, your data is taken. You are misguided to share all your one-time passwords and all. We will go in details each one a little later in the session. When things are going like this, you just see the screen. People are congregating. All of them are having some mobile phone in their hands. They are not doing any great job, according to me. They are enjoying with their mobile phones. What they are doing is they are just playing Pokemon game. What is my problem? My problem is wherever they are, they have to take out their mobile phone, switch on their webcam, take the video of the entire street, and they start going on to different directions, reach a particular place. Then they may get some kind of networking, some kind of prizes, some kind of achievements. But what is happening during the taking of video of entire street view? The entire data is going and staying in the servers of the abroad. It may be a secret area like a defense laboratory area, a cantonment area, a secretary area, or assembly area, or any important locations. All this information will automatically go to a particular server which is located in abroad. This data will be compiled into one great data. Even Google Earth may not show you those details, but this type of video taken by the mobile phones will give the appropriate data, and that will be given to many others, that can be shared to many others. Enemy countries will definitely buy that and attack our own critical infrastructure. So while using our entertainment apps, we need to keep some kind of national security in our mind. If I take this, is it going to cause national security a problem? Many people, they use Wi-Fi and other things near the security installations also. Many areas, such problems are being reported elsewhere in the world. So, public response for the security of the nation as well as their own computers is relatively less due to ignorance or overconfidence, whatever may be. Everybody thinks it is not my job. If you go to police station, they say, it is not my job, go to cyber cells. So everybody cannot go to a cyber cell. Police as well as the public should have appropriate knowledge. If knowledge is not there related to the technology, at least they should know about the law. Law says whoever comes to the police station with whatever complaint related to some cognizable offense, they have to register the case. Once they register the case, later on they can send the case to appropriate agencies, but delaying case registration at the local police station is not correct. They will be taken to task. If the superior officers knows about that, they will be taken to task. Police officers and public who are now listening, police officers, please understand, you have to register the case. Though you may not be able to really tackle that particular case in a way it should be, but the first response is registering the case and sending the appropriate notices to the concerned agencies to prevent further loss. So this you should remember, and public also, you can demand to register the case at your local police station. Alternatively, there is one more facility given by Government of India. Cyber crime portal is available. Initially, this cybercrime portal is given for women and child-related complaints online, but now that is extended for all complaints, all cyber-related complaints. Cybercrime.gov.in is the portal. Anybody can access and submit their information. In case of child and women, they can submit the information anonymously also. Other cases, the complainant information they have to mention. Police will come and contact you. They will call you. They will take your information. They will register the case and they will pursue the matter. So one facility is given by Government of India. All states are following the same with the same portal. Each state, each police station area, information will go. Your cases will be registered there. So please remember, there is a cybercrime portal available created by Ministry of Home Affairs, cybercrimeportal.gov.in. If nobody is there to secure, I always show this as a lighter vein. So much of security is available for ATM machine. Here, I want to explain. In this type of security, even the genuine customer cannot go in. Security should be available in such a way customer will get the benefit out of it. But if you put lot of security and it consumes a lot of your bandwidth as well as your time, people will tend to disown the technology. So appropriate security is need of the hour, not the heavy security for simple things. That's why most of the online security agencies, they are not keeping security. Security is individual problem. If I have lot of data in my computer or in my mobile phone, I need to put all the security measures in place. So we have to have our own methodology. In general, in case of your home security, whatever valuable assets you have at home, depending on that, you will keep the security. Like some guard you will post, some CCTV cameras you will keep it, some dog you will keep it, and you will have a lot of digital locks and lockers. Similarly, when you are participating in physical security so much, why people are not participating in the online security? That is the question now. So you have to have what are all our security assets available in computer and mobile phones, how to prevent such attack through the online security measure breaches. You have to identify, then you have to have your own. Do not think that everything is the role of government or anybody. First thing is we have to keep our own security in place, then you can expect something from the government. But if you open everything and if you think that only government should do, then that may not be right idea. In this, you can see how easily the crime is being committed. This is 12/11/2019. That person has come. He is typing some keys, seeing it in his hand. Once he types, he brought one bag. He has kept somebody outside so that nobody will see. He has opened his phone. He is typing something. Automatically, money is gushing out. So much of money. So much of money. Till such time, you may think that he might have taken it in a proper way. But you just observe now, he will open the front portion. He has a duplicate key. He has installed a certain tool in it. Now he is taking away. Without any card, without any pin, he has collected a lot of money and is going out. There are so many cases which were reported in similar fashion. Somebody comes in, types some security keys, put duplicate key, open the front portion, put some kind of USB drive. With that USB drive, it will give the supervisory powers, admin powers of that ATM machine. They will type whatever money gushes out, they will take away. Very simple. But here, one part I need to explain. The person, whoever has installed the camera is installed opposite to the backlight of the individual. The person who has taken the money, the criminal, his face could not be identified properly. So the suggestion here, whoever is installing the cameras or observing cameras in their own ATM machines when you are going in, kindly look at it and complain. All the cameras should be positioned in to show the face, one. Second thing, if backlight is there, then that backlight component should be controlled by putting more light on the face so that the face can be identified. If such clippings are given, police officers' role will be very difficult to handle. So this is one video where he has used a duplicate key and installed a particular USB drive, typed a few security keys, got the admin powers, and took away money. In this second one, you can see very easy to commit a crime like. Here, the appropriate lighting is there, but the person's head is being seen, not the face. He also created a duplicate key, opened the front portion. He has switched it on, rebooting the system. He has put his hand, not even seeing inside, adjusting some security hardware settings, and money is gushing out, he is taking away. In the first instance, some security knowledge, the software knowledge is required. In this case, there is no requirement of any software knowledge. He has just created a security duplicate key, opened the front portion, put his hand, altered some hardware settings, money has come out. In earlier case, there were some security keys and USB drive. In both these cases, emptying the cash chest is just like a kids play. Only thing is, the people who have monitored the ATM machines through security cameras, they have kept the security camera in such a way the criminal's face is not being shown. Only head portion is seen. So cameras should not be kept on the top of it. That is the lot of audio disturbance. Lot of audio disturbance. People are in between switching on their microphones. Hello.
I'm muting them, sir.
Next time, when you are asking people to join the meetings, ask initially to immediately switch off their microphone and then join. Whenever they want to talk to me in the last 5, 10, 15 minutes, we will give them the option, or they can type in the chat area what type of question they want to ask. They can write it. We can see and read out, or we can give them the information later also, instead of saying everything orally. Anyway, now it is disturbance start. Some new joining, it is creating problem. This is one more video. This is a kind of skimmer is being kept in almost every model of ATM machine. People, they have manufactured in such a way it appears like a regular card inserting smart. Very easily they can put that skimmer with a simple gum tips. People will not be able to identify whether a new gadget, new additive added device is connected to the skimmer. Very easily they can put it. Once it is there, the individual will come and insert the card. Once card is inserted, data will be collected by the skimmer, and they will keep a camera on the top of. You see now, this camera was kept on the top of that, which is identifying the PIN numbers people typing. Once they see the PIN number and the card is available, card data is available, they can clone our cards, and the same PIN number collected from this camera can be used. This they are using because most of us are not changing our PIN numbers quite often. We may change PIN number only once when we received it. Later on, we will not change our PIN numbers thinking that card is safe with us. Without the card, others cannot use my PIN number. That is the idea which we have. Thereby, our card is with us and PIN number is with us. We will not change it. Don't be of that opinion, because our card data is stolen in several ways and means, bars and restaurants, petrol pumps, and this type of ATM machines, without you notice it also. So your card is with somebody. If you change your PIN number, even if the card is with them, they will not be able to do anything. So change the PIN number quite often. If you are a regular user of the ATM, change the PIN number once in 15 days, because the experience says once they collect the data of the cards and clone it and reuse it, minimum it is taking 2 weeks. Not that they cannot do it in one day, but the experience is minimum 2 weeks we are getting the complaint. After that only they are using it. So kindly change your PIN number if you are a regular user once in 15 days. If you feel that you are safe and you are going only for the own regular ATM machines which is connected with one security guard, probably there may not be so many crimes in such places. First preference you give, wherever the security guard is there, try to go to such ATMs only. If you are not going for such ATMs and you are going every time into a new ATM, definitely there is a danger, because you do not know how the slot look like and what are all the machines and goods, tools they have kept for stealing our data. So whenever you go for a new this thing, immediately you change your PIN number. PIN numbers also, there are possibilities to change the PIN number at the ATM machines. But my suggestion is don't do it at the ATM machines. Do it through your mobile phone or your computer, so that the same ATM machine is not bugged by them. If you go and do it in the ATM machine, things would have been bugged already. So do it from your mobile phone or through your computer. Frequently you can change them. And remember, your credit card is different, your ATM card is different. ATM card, once you type the PIN number, that is enough. But in case of credit card CVV number is already printed behind your credit card. If one knows your credit card number, expiry date, name on the card, and CVV number, if these four are taken, if online purchases are made in abroad, you will not get one-time password. The security in ATM cards is, if you use online if you use online credit card, your CVV number is taken by them. And if your ATM card is connected, your credit card is used in abroad, you will not get one-time password here. Remember that. That's why most of the petrol pump people and bar and restaurant, once you give the credit card, they take the information behind the credit card CVV number, and front portion anyway it is visible. So all this information they can use it, and suddenly one night you will get a message, £1,000 deduction from your account, which is spent somewhere in Russia or Malaysia or whatever. So credit card when you are using, behind credit card there is a CVV number, 3-digit CVV number. You remember it or write it at home and then erase it on the credit card. Otherwise, if that information is known, people will definitely be able to steal that particular data and misuse your credit card. ATM card, PIN number to be changed, credit card, CVV number to be hidden. This is one more tool which we have seen recently behind the ATM machine. Once it is connected, whoever inserts the card data is stolen using the same ATM machine's slot. They don't add any additional skimmers. No need, because data is transmitted through ATM machine to the bank. Before it is getting encrypted, they have diverted the data, and using that they have created cloned cards. And the PIN number, whatever information is available, everything is going, and 2 Romanians were arrested in this particular case. What law says? If any person without permission of the owner or in charge of a computer accesses or secure access to a computer. Accesses means physically they can access, or they can secure access through online or through some third party. Downloads, copies, or extracts data without permission, accesses and securing access, downloads and copying the data, introduces a computer contaminant or virus, damages computer, data, database or any other programs in such computer, disrupts computer or computer network, causes denial of access, provides assistance to facilitate illegal access, charges the services availed by a person on the account or other person by tampering or manipulating any computer, destroys, deletes, alters any information in a computer resource, diminishes its value or utility or affects it injuriously, steals, conceals, destroys or alters computer source codes. If somebody does all or any one of this without the permission, unauthorizedly, they have done a violation. Section 43 of IT Act. Section 43 of IT Act says people can go for claiming the damages by way of a suit in the civil court, or in case of civil court, more than 5 crores damages if you are wanting, civil court they have to approach. In case less than 5 crores of damages you are demanding, then the principal secretary IT department of every state is the person who is the adjudicating authority. Somebody has to approach them to get the benefit. Here point, it is a civil in nature. The offense is in a civil in nature, and in this civil in nature work, either you can go for local civil court for getting claims more than 5 crores. For getting less than 5 crores, you go to principal secretary. principal secretary of IT department in every state. They can give the damage. If by any chance all these things are done with a criminal intention, then the criminal offenses start. Section 65 of Indian Evidence Act, IT Act, 65 of IT Act says tampering with computer source documents, that is source code or commands, whatever somebody does with the computer. Here, Section 65 can be applied for people who are stealing the mobile phone and changing the IMEI number. IMEI number supposed to be unique for that instrument, and there is an agreement. If you are buying a mobile phone, you are bound by the agreement that you will not change the IMEI number ever. But nowadays, people are stealing the mobile phones. Earlier, basing on the IMEI number, we used to identify the stolen phone and we used to bring it back and give it to the victim. Nowadays, people are changing the IMEI numbers through separate mechanisms. That changing of IMEI number comes under Section 65 of Information Technology Act, tampering with the computer source document. Other cases which we are regularly coming across in this particular section, most of the software companies, their employees, they are collecting the contact details, they are collecting the client's details, they are collecting the developed source code, and they are going out of the company using it for their own personal gain. All that also comes under Section 65. They are not supposed to take away any such source code developed by the original company. It is the copyrighted material of that particular company. So whenever whoever does this type of offense, 3 years and imprisonment and or fine up to 2 lakh or both. Either one imprisonment only can be given or fine only can be given or both can be awarded, which is a bailable offense and cognizable offense under IT Act 2008. Similarly, there is Section 66, which is directly connected to the Section 43 earlier I have shown you, which is civil in nature. This is criminal in nature. So this criminal in nature is if whatever is shown in 43 is done through dishonest or fraudulent motive, then it is booked under Section 66. Many a times people are confused when to apply 60, when to apply 65. If dishonest and fraudulent intention is seen, the Section 66 is relevant. Section 65, a bank employee will be having access to our account. Here, they are not having any access to our computers. They have secured access and do dishonest and fraudulent activity. In case of 65, bank employees do have access to our computers, where they are authorized access, but they are doing fraudulent activity. In 66, it is unauthorized access and doing the fraudulent activity. 65 and 66, there is a simple difference that has to be identified. And this one is also 3 years imprisonment, and this is also bailable and cognizable offense. Section 66A used to be there. All the cases related to annoyance, bullying, those cases we used to apply Section 66A. But the Supreme Court has annulled the section that it is a draconian and unconstitutional law. That is why Section 66A is totally removed from the IT Act. Nobody can register the case under Section 66A. This judgment of 2014 related to some issue from Maharashtra, 2 girls were arrested. In that case, this particular judgment has been given. But after 2014, now it is 2020. Still, several police officers are registering cases under 66A. if you register case under 66A, if the criminal wants to go to High Court and get the orders, within no time FIR will be quashed. Not only quashing, they may pass a remark on the police officer and he may have to face it. Still, according to NCRB statistics, there are thousands of such 66A cases are being registered all over India. I don't know why so much of publicity is given. All the DGPs of police have sent notices to all the police stations not to register the case under 66A. Still, people are using 66A for their registration of the case. 66A, please do not use 66A at all. 66A, what it was to say, using the communication device, if somebody annoys, creates problem, harasses, bullies, then that case should have been used. Now, once that 66A is gone, we have the option of using Section 509 in case of women. Section 354D, we generally called it as Nirbhaya Act. Section 354D for cyber stalking and 509 for women-related offences can be applied. In cases of children, POCSO can be used for creating problem online. So please do not use 66A, but at the same time, you can use other sections. The problem comes with the political leaders and parties. Generally, those people are being trolled like anything, celebrities, political people. If any bad word, any vulgar word is used, obscene word is used, then Section 67 can be used in such cases, but only criticism, rumor, and other things, there is no section to file a case. Only the option left out for them is Section 500 of IPC, which is defamation, which is not a cognizable offense, and police cannot take action. Through PP only it has to be taken action, but very rarely cases will be convicted in such Section 500 IPC. That's why political parties and leaders, they tend to influence to register case under some pretext of very higher IPC sections. But if there is no vulgarity, if there is no life-threatening, then we are not supposed to register the case under serious offences. Section 66B. Section 66B is purchasing stolen content, stolen soft content. If I lost phone, somebody purchases it, that section will not come under Section 6B, will not come under it. Section 66B means it is not for stolen computers, though it can cover, but the data is important. Then the case is under Section 66B. Otherwise, generally, for buying the stolen property as a property, IPC take care of it. So when IPC won't take care, then we have to apply IT Act, because IT Act 66B is only meant for computer resource. If somebody is stealing the data from a particular company and they have sold it, the person who has sold it will come under Section 65 or 66. The person who purchases it comes under 66B. 66C is one of the popular section is being used under IT Act. This is identity theft. Many cases are being reported under identity theft. Identity theft doesn't mean if my photograph is there in my profile, if somebody uses it, that particular photograph, it won't come under 66E, which is not a security credential of the person. So online security credentials, if identity theft is theft means like credit card numbers, user IDs, bank transaction IDs, OTPs. So all these security related passwords, our mail ID passwords, our Facebook or any social media passwords, any other accessing tool like our fingerprint, thumb impression, biosensor, biometric, all those things, iris, those all come under Section 66A. If somebody steals that, then the 66 comes. Here also punishment is 3 years and fine, which is also bailable and cognizable. It is all these, most of the IT Act offences, people think that they are not bailable, but in fact, most of the sections of IT Act are bailable in nature. Very quickly, within a day, they will get the bail. In this particular 66C, nowadays, most popular cases are wishing cases. Wishing means from somebody, some call comes, I am speaking from so and so bank, we are going to block your uh, ATM card unless you verify yourself with the OTP. We will now send the OTP to you. You please inform us. If that is matching with the server, then we will allow you to use your ATM. Like that, they will uh, confuse the listener and the victim. They will call over phone. They demand the information in such a way the victim automatically believes that they are from so and so bank, and they are, without giving so, probably they may lose the access to that particular account. So thinking that people are sharing the information and they are being cheated. Suggestion is not to share any information online without you confirm them who are they. In general, no bank, no Aadhaar card division, no online commercial agency will call you over phone and they ask your one-time passwords or personal details. They are not supposed to do that. Nobody will do it. All the people, whoever is doing it, they are fraudulently doing. Do not believe in it. They are all using the identity theft as their offense mode. Section 66D is popularly known as impersonation and cheating. Online, if somebody is impersonated, saying that I am so and so, so and so, and they cheat and they wrongfully gain or create wrongful loss to the victim, then this particular section comes. Mostly, very quick example for 66D is normal Nigerian offense. People call it as advance fee offense. They will say that you won so and so lottery and you are going to be given 9 crores of money. If you are ready, we will send my diplomat from abroad. People will innocently falling prey for it. People will once once in 2 days somebody will call. I came from UK. I came from so and so place. I borrowed money. Now the customs are asking money. You have to pay this much for the customs department. You have to pay this much for the RBI converting charges. You have to pay this much for the anti-terror agencies. Like that, they will start demanding. Many cases are reported. Nearly the highest amount which I have seen is 1.8 crores he has paid to them for want of 9 crores in return. Similarly, many police officers were, became victims. Many teachers became victims. Many professors became victims. Many political parties persons are victims here. Even the software industry people are also affected with this type of offenses. So they cheat by personating. So in this particular case also, it is bailable and non-cognizable, and 3 years imprisonment with fine. Section 66E, this is also again one menace of the case. Most of the cases are being reported in this type of offense, where boyfriend and girlfriend related issues, once they both are very friendly, they share their personal private part. Private photograph is not question. Private part of photograph they share. Once they go away from each other, they start uploading things. So here, whoever takes with consent or without consent any private part area photograph and they share it, then this comes under Section 66A. Most of the people innocently they are sharing. Some people online, they are believing somebody's threatening messages saying that we have accessed your webcam. You were doing some wrong thing with your naked body. We have collected it. We are going to publish it. And this is your password. All that information they share, people think, okay, they might have done it and they are falling prey. So cheating is also possible in the name of private part photographs. And revenge porn is the most user-friendly term people are using, revenge porn. So once both are in good humor, they share everything. Wife and husband share everything. Later on, they go for divorce. That time, both of them are uploading the personal and private photographs online. So most of these cases we are tackling. This type of offense is very easy to catch because there is a motive behind it. Whereas in case of 66D, 66E, they are doing it online, and by the time we reach there, investigation process is getting delayed. We are dependent on the information provided by the companies like email service providers, OTT, over the top transmitter and data providers like social media. Unless they provide information for us, we will not be able to further take it out. Section 66F is a cyber terror related section. Not many cases reported in this. Still, online, if somebody does the terrorism activity, Section 66F can be applied. Punishment will be up to life imprisonment. Cyber pornography is one more commonly reported crimes. Many mobile phone companies, the private fellows, what they do is they will insert lot of pornographic content in the SD cards and they sell those SD cards for the students. Students will exchange that information to many other students are becoming one way victims because child today, minor today is major in technology. He knows everything about the technology. Major, like adult, today is minor in the technology subject. The parents, many people say that why parents are not controlling the children. How do they control the children? Children do know more technology. They know everything about the technology. Parents may not know the technology, how good they are. Recently, I have a case where parent has asked the child how to install parental control software. See the fun. Parent is asking the child how to install parental control operating software. Child will very quickly can understand what exact it is, and he has installed it and he has kept the password for himself. He only can see that. Parents cannot see. So such ignorant activity is being done because parents are minors in the technology. Children are majors in the technology. Children, however, do not know where to draw a line. They are being, they psychologically, they are minors, but technically they are majors. Psychological impact is many people, just yesterday itself, one boy committed suicide because lot of data against him is created by their friends with obscene content about his impotency or something like that, and tagged that content with this boy. And every student started tagging the same content with that content with the boy, and it is circulated beyond his control. He has committed suicide yesterday. So, pornography related text, if somebody circulates, comes under section 67. Parents should keep a tab on the children's mobile phone and activity of their computer, what they are viewing, because in the computer, if the pop-ups are not blocked, automatically child will be dragged to, though they are not interested to go, they are dragged to such obscene pornographic sites. Slowly it will be a addiction for that fellow. And recently there is one survey during the corona days, during the lockdown, 90% of increase in watching pornography. 90% is very serious concern. Uh, so much of improvement. That means people are becoming addicted to the online porno content. Question comes, can't we block it? Yes, there is a possibility to block. There are several laws to block it in India. But if you block one, immediately they will change the IP address, they will change the name, and again they will come on. Nearly the entire industry is surviving because of the pornography downloading and uploading. The entire bandwidth is being used by them. Ultimately, service providers will never discourage people not to access it because that is their money. And many countries do not have any uh, hurdle for adult pornography. Child pornography, yes, every country is having zero tolerance, but adult pornography, people are just uploading in every part of the world. In India, at least we have section 67 and 67A, where even the publishing adult pornography is a crime. In other countries, because they upload it from other countries, we can't do anything except to block it. If you block it, automatically uh, with a new name they will come in. So that is why blocking became bit difficult. Blocking became difficult. We are not considering that as an option because so many thousands and thousands and millions of different languages pornography is available. Even if I stop, initially we tried to stop around 1300 websites which are coming in search in English. Now Spanish, Italian, many other websites are coming. People very easily able to access all those. So blocking 1 to 100, 200 to 300, 500,000, million, all that is not easy. And if you block it in from the internet service provider perspective, they should have huge servers, firewalls to block those IP address based, name based pornography content. But still, we are working on Section 67 for individual cases, like somebody is sending obscene material for a girl, a woman, a child. In such cases, definitely cases can be registered under Section 67 in case only the text is published. In case of video or images are there, Section 67A we apply, and these in this particular case, 67 is bailable, 67A is non-bailable. So 67A, most of these cases, revenge porn cases also, we are using 67A so that they will not get even bail. Imprisonment is also in case of second offense, 7 years and fine. Section 67A, Section 67B. Section 67B is child pornography, whoever even possess it. Adult pornography, one condition is if I only possess it, is not a crime. If I share it, if I publish it, if I exchange from my computer to other computer, then Section 67A comes. If I just hold or possess in my computer any adult porn, it's not a crime. Whereas in case of child porn, even if you search about child porn, it's a crime. Of course, proving is different part, but even if I can prove that you have searched child porn online, that can be crime. Possession is crime. If somebody sends you child porn, immediately give a complaint against the person who has published it, who has sent it to you. If you possess it and you later on you say, I have not created, I have not accessed, just sent by somebody, it even then the person who is possessing can be arrested under child pornography laws. 72A is one more important section which we need to tell. If we are keeping certain information of any person and without his knowledge, if we share, most of the banks, they share our bank balance and other related information to others. They are not supposed to share that. If they share, they come under Section 72A. Similarly, our call data records cannot be shared by our service providers. Unless a proper authorization notice, Section 91 CRPC notice is issued to any service provider, mobile service provider, call data cannot be shared. If my call data, my calling pattern, my calling numbers, if it is being shared by the service providers, mobile for service providers for different commercial games, they will be held under 72A. So even the police officers, if they are collecting call data records of somebody through 91 CRPC, still you are not supposed to share that to anybody. If you are able to use it for your investigation purpose, you have to mention it in your CD file and mention it in your chat sheet, but not sharing the content to the victim or accused. We are not supposed to collect, first of all, unnecessarily. Even if it is collected with proper authority, we have to secure it, not to release it to the public. 72A is one important section to protect our personal data. Abetment. If I abet you to perpetrate a crime, I don't perpetrate, but if I abet you to perpetrate a crime under Section 84B of IT Act, it is an offense. Compounding offenses is also there. The offenses which are less than 3 years punishment, that those cases can be compounded in the competent courts. Principles of digital evidence. Now the law is over. Crime part we have discussed little bit. Law is also, we have discussed only relevant laws, not too much of law. For police, if anybody is available in this group, if any police is there, we can issue 91 CRPC notice for collecting the data from different service providers like social media service providers, email service providers, banks, mobile service providers, landline service providers. All these can be we can issue 91 CRPC notice and get it. One. Number two, if you want to block the website, you can only block the website under 69A of IT Act, but that is used only when a national security is involved. Not for routine cases we can block it. Second section of law is 79(3)(b) IT Act. 79(3)(b) of IT Act. If that is issued to a particular service provider, they will block a particular content or remove the particular content, not the blocking of the site. If some damaging content is there, religious messages, too many religious messages are there, which is creating some passion and problem in two different religions. In such cases, we can't ask government to stop entire social media company. We can only send a notice through which we can get the metadata. As if you are sending the 91 CRPC, you can send 79(3)(b) for metadata, and also you can ask that particular page blocked or remove the content. This is possible in computer online related issues. 79(3)(b) is one section, 91 is one section, CRPC and IT Act. Both cases we can issue notices for getting the metadata. In case of forensics, now the time is 12:30. Jagdish?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Jagdish?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now the time is 12:30.
Yeah, maybe another 15 minutes, sir.
Yeah, I don't mind. People may be getting bored because time has been taken more. Anyway, another 15 minutes I'll continue.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Related to digital evidence and forensic activity.
No, people are saying, no, sir, it is interesting. Please continue. That is what the chat box messages are coming to. Yeah, we can continue another 15 minutes, sir. Maybe we'll take the question and answer.
Oh, sure.
Thank you, sir.
So in case of forensics, what we do? generally, if you compare with the conventional crimes versus cyber crimes, conventional crimes are perpetrated by coming into a particular crime scene. Somebody must have seen, somebody must have heard, somebody must have noticed. Every information is available about the crime or the criminal. Whereas in case of cyber crimes, criminal need not come to the crime scene. When he is not coming into the crime scene, he is away from the crime scene. Investigator will be having difficulty to identify where the person is. In case of conventional crimes, murder case, blood stains, all other tools will be available in the crime scene. We can link the dots with the available clues in the crime scene. Whereas in case of cyber crime, because there is no crime scene, starting point itself is difficult. In case of conventional crimes, forensic information will come little later. After collecting the samples from the crime scene, we will send the information to the forensic laboratory. They will in turn analyze it and send it to the police for further investigation. In the cyber crime, it is not so. Investigating officer should know a little bit of forensics because online activity has to be continued to identify the crime scene, which is not visible in my jurisdiction. No SI, no inspector can identify crime scene in their own jurisdictions. Crime scene will be somewhere else in some part of the world, some part of India or some part of the world as well. So it is very, very difficult to connect the dots in case of cyber related offenses. Thereby, we encourage police officers to know about cyber crime investigation and cyber forensics together, because many times we have to identify the IP address of the tool which is used for perpetration of the crime through IP address. IP address tracking and then reaching the particular place requires a lot of forensic knowledge, one. Number two, after reaching the place, some 10-20 computers are available. Out of 10-20 computers, only one computer is connected with the crime. Now, who will tell out of 20 computers which computer is connected? Criminal is not yet identified. We have first identified the location from where crime has happened. So there, I have to do some kind of forensic work, because out of 20 computers, one computer will be connected computer. If I access all the 20 computers and view which one is connected, then I am spoiling the evidence by accessing the tool. So I have to do one work, so that is forensic viewing of all the 20 computers without adding a single digit in it or taking out a bit. So without adding a bit of information in the computer, I have to give the evidential integrity and evidential continuity. I have to do the forensic activity as a police officer. Forget about forensic expert coming to the scene. Police officer will go there. If we access all the 20 computers and see it, it will be not useful in the court of law. If I take all the 20 computers and take it to the forensic laboratory, again it is difficult. People will not be able to share that much of 20 computers from bank to the forensic laboratory. Bank will be the victim. Internet service provider will be victim. Service provider will be victim. Net cafe provider will be victim. So we can't do that. In that condition, what we have to do, we have a system called triaging, where without accessing the computer directly, indirectly we will access the computer, verify which computer is relevant, and then that computer will be imaged onto another computer that will be sent to forensic laboratory. This process every police officer should know. So in Government of India has included this particular thing and gave nearly 3 to 4 crores for every state to establish the cyber labs. All the states now are equipped with the cyber labs. They are able to take the image from the mobile phone, image from the computer, and they are really working out strategies. So most of the police officers who are into cyber cells, they are all now computer forensic experts. The rule ultimately is creating the evidential integrity, creating the evidence continuity, and protecting the digital environment without being contaminated. And lastly, whatever I have acquired from the computer related to the crime information, I have to present it in the court of law so that court will appreciate it. Whatever I do, if I do it in a technical way and without making court to understand, there is no use. So court should understand what you have done. For that, you have to establish every step-by-step procedure. We have developed standard operating procedures. We have circulated to the police. They are doing quite a good job. From Telugu states, most of the cases are convicted in India or from Telugu state, because we have taken sessions for even the advocates as well as the judges, so that PPs and judges also are able to appreciate the digital evidence collected by the police. The main advantage with the major advantage with the file is, generally police officers or any legal luminaries, they feel paper evidence, hard copy evidence is great evidence. But I feel hard copy evidence is a good evidence definitely, because it contains some handwriting pattern, who author can be identified, signature author can be identified, whether forgery is there or not, all that information can be identified in case of hard copy. Whereas in case of soft copy, we will have more information than the hard copy. Hard copy, age of the ink we cannot identify, age of the paper we can't identify, age of the typing we can't identify. Whereas in case of soft copy, all that is available when that evidence, when that file is created, when the file is modified, when the file is last accessed. Apart from it, whether the file is created in this computer or brought from any other computer. If it is brought from other computer, whether it is brought online through emails, or brought through a CD, or brought through a USB drive, whether brought it on what day, using which pen drive, what is the unique number of that pen drive, when it is inserted in the computer, when the file is added into the computer, when a file is taken out from the computer, all that information very easily can be identified, including the event log of every input. Even a computer day and date pattern is changed by the user, there are possibilities to identify the entire event log. Of course, there is one alert in this is, there are several anti-forensic tools through which this metadata can be altered. But still, when you alter the metadata, even that part can be identified if the computer is identified. So if I have the computer, I can take out all that. Similarly, if a criminal is identified, his mobile phone is seen, if he is revealing the password for the phone, pattern lock for the phone, you can just type, in case of Android, Google dashboard, automatically his movements which are stored elsewhere can be identified, where he has moved. He may say in his confession, I was not there in Hyderabad on that day, but the computer mobile phone will automatically show which location he was present on that particular day. So like that, we can see the content in the mobile which are stored by some third party application. Computer has two different files. One is file generated by the user. Second one is file generated by the computer. So file generated by the computers will have a lot of inputs to work on. The forensic process is majorly dependent on it to authenticate the files generated by the user. So file generated by the user can be authenticated through file created by the computer alone without the user's knowledge. So these are all the things which we really work out during the forensic part. I'm not totally giving the clarity of the forensics, but there are possibilities of this nature. Similarly, some new people who do not know major work in the computer forensics, one thing we do is we recover all the deleted files, all the unsaved files, and complete browsing history, browsing data, every information related to internet, the timeline analysis, the day and date pattern analysis, all that is easily available in the computer. Similarly, which software was present, which software is uninstalled, which software was used to do what type of alteration of data, every input can be taken out from the timeline analysis of the computer. This will be, this type of facility is provided through forensics, that called cyber forensics or digital forensics in short we call. Not only this, if I have a computer switched on, then I can take out the RAM dump and identify the IP addresses, connected, listening ports, every information, plus the passwords which he must have typed on particular day, all that input can be taken out if the live computer is seen. Many situations we have cloud forensic activity, live forensics is required. Those areas we are working out every input, including the volatile memory, we can capture of that particular day. So such is the forensic capabilities. Lot of content is available for forensic this thing. Some images I have taken it from different sources. Some images are created by us. I am not claiming all images belongs to me. But anyway, recent cases during the corona, one alert I want to give you. Initially, they are sharing the HTTPS link. Once you go into HTTPS website, what happens? We access the website when HTTPS is there carelessly. Yes, this is a secured website. We need not have to really worry. But after some time, they are sending one link. Once you are into HTTPS, he will send one link inside a page with HTTP. There, if you click, your data is gone. So these people are very carefully designing the pages. First website which they provide to us is HTTPS. We will be very happy when you access HTTPS because everybody says HTTPS is the secure layer. Once you start accessing the data, seeing the content, and slowly he will push a link. If you click that link thinking that you are already in HTTPS, it will take you to HTTP server. There, if you share information, your data is gone. I'm showing you one particular case where, in case of Naukri, he asked her to pay 10 rupees. She paid 10 rupees. But once she got the OTP, in the against the OTP, it is mentioned as 10,000. Very carefully, that fellow was in phone. He told her, when she expressed, you said only to pay 10 rupees, but I received OTP for 10,000 rupees. That fellow asked her, why don't you share the screenshot of that mobile phone? Very carefully, you listen. When you share screenshot of the OTP, SMS, OTP also will be available in it. So if you share your screenshot, he will see the OTP and he will take 10,000 rupees out of it. In this particular case, he has done the same. She has shared the one-time password screen to him. Luckily, she is not having that much of money in her account. She didn't lose anything. But he has very carefully put her in some kind of a discussion, asked her to share the OTP. Even if you don't share OTP already because so many advertisements are coming, if he asks the screenshot, you will share, then OTP is visible. So in this particular case, anyway, you have seen and read this. This is the mode recently they started taking out. When we have seen, first thing is the Naukri.in is the original site. In that original site, he has created another fake site. And if you see this, 15/16, he received a message, HTTPS, the Naukri.in. Once she lost some money, immediately he asked he says that I will refund the money. Here you can see HTTP, the Naukri.in account. This is for refunding. Click below regarding refund. So once you are going to get money back, you will automatically click it without seeing it. Once you click it, it takes you to HTTPA. Yes, HTTP only. Initially, you can see 15/16. The site is HTTPS. In this particular case, another observation: the Naukri.com this is original site, and this another site which he is prepared is the Naukri Solutions. In this particular case, again, he has given one password to her to enter into this site. He has taken one more precaution where police cannot directly enter into the page. She gets a password orally. She types here, enter, then she pastes to HTTP. Whereas now, once she gives complaint to us, she will give the complaint, we will get only this much. Now there is no password, I can't enter it. So that type of technology also they have used, not to access by police officers. And of course, when we have done the reverse search for who is, the original is created in California, but this one is managed by Rajasthan. We are working out the strategy to reach that fellow. The point here is HTTP and HTTPS. Once HTTPS is seen, do not go by it. Inside the pages, they may have given another link which will take you to HTTP. This is one more suggestion. Of course, we can tell many number of such cases. What is our investigation is we will go by different service providers, banks, internet service providers. There are plenty of internet service providers now, more than 415 available internet service providers. They are mobile service providers, payment gateways. All these people are, unless we get the information from all these service providers, we will not be able to reach the criminal. Earlier the better. So police officers, if they ask the victim to go to cyber cell, wasting the time, then we will not be able either prevent the misuse, or we will not be able to identify the IP address from where he is or she is accessing. We have both no gender bias, criminals are of both sexes available. Very difficult to access. This particular case, as I told you, Romanians were arrested, 35 lakhs were seized by Cyberabad police. These two Romanians have done that particular crime, connecting the router to the ATM machine. Thereby, they have created cloned cards and used the card data for taking away money from different ATM machines in India, though the victim was in Hyderabad. This particular man duped women, 20 people, not one or two, just saying that he is in the matrimonial column, he is so and so, so and so, so and so, and cheated all these people. Similarly, there are bank defense people. In the name of defense people, they are selling the cars and other things in less rates through OLX. People are falling prey. Wherever people are saying that seeing any cheaper material, the costly material appearing for cheap offers, there is the imminent danger in it. Kindly don't believe in all those things. So now I think we should stop at this stage and take the questions from you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your detailed session. I think most of the people are happy, and still they are asking us to continue. But as you said, like, yes, now it's time to take some of the questions from the viewers. There are some major announcements for the all the participants. Please stay back, and that is first thing. And the second thing is, like, if there are any questions, please ask one by one. Or you just raise your hand or like we will close the session. Otherwise, sir may get disturbed. So I request all of you, please mute your mics. Only one person can at a time. I think in the chat box was that there is one question by. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Is
I am
there
Harsh Ojha. I want to ask a question, sir.
Yeah, please.
Please go ahead, Harsha.
Sir. Actually, my brother's mobile phone was lost, and I filed a complaint a few months back. But how I can use the surveillance of my lost mobile phone through my home PC? Because there was no action taken by it's around too many months over, sir, about the lost mobile phone.
No, your last mobile phone,
Yes,
unless
sir.
the phone is in the same shape, you
Okay,
can be
sir.
able to monitor. One, they switch off the phone and they sell
Yes,
it
sir.
in the second-hand market. There,
Okay, sir.
somebody has to buy it. They
Okay,
have to
sir.
put one SIM card. Then they switch it on. Then you may get the location. But most of these people, what they do is they reset to the factory settings and then they are selling it. One. Number two, they change the IMEI number. Thereby, the recovery of your mobile phone or tracking your mobile phone would be difficult. All the applications and other stuff which you have created in the phone is gone. They have gone. They have done the factory resetting. Thereby, nothing will be available in your phone to connect yourself there.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Dr.
Rajiv
Govind.
Yadav.
Yes.
Rajiv Yadavji, you please stay back and request Govind sir to continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good morning and afternoon, Ram Mohan ji, for a very excellent talk on this cyber crime and cyber forensic and cyber laws. My question is, once you lodge a complaint with the cybercrime.gov.in, how to track that? Why is there any number or mobile number, or how will you get back if the things are not sorted out in a certain reasonable time frame?
In the complaint, if you give the complaint in cyber crime portal,
Yes.
against you there is a number, and that number, whenever you want to verify the status of the case, you can see there whether that is resolved, whether that is rejected, because many cases do come related to something else, not the cyber related. They rejected. So against the remarks, the information is available. If by any chance you have given the right input, then immediately one local police would call you if you have given your phone number. That itself will make your job easy. They will call you and tell you what exactly it is. Number two, you can yourself see the status of the case. Number three, by any chance, if no police, no state has taken care and this thing, or after sharing it to the concerned police station, they have not done anything, then the supervisory officer will be monitoring it every day. And all these content will be monitored by the Ministry of Home Affairs every month. Two video conferences are there. They will see which complaint is assigned to whom, who has attended it, and what is the status of it. So,
Thank you.
first answer is you will have the status report in against your complaint. Second thing is it will be monitored by the superior officers. Definitely action will be taken.
Thank you very much, sir.
Sir, where will the case be written when online fraud?
You can give the complaint in your local police station, or if you have the option to go to cyber cell of that particular state, you can give the complaint there. Either of this, or third one, as I told you, online cyber crime portal, you can lodge a complaint.
Sir, on online websites there is many
But
Hello.
Yeah, Ashish, please go ahead.
Hello. Sir, nowadays on online websites, there are many refurbished phone are selling by the website seller. So is it possible to make crime from that phones? Is it advisable to purchase from refurbished websites or not?
No problem. See, in the cyber world, one thing is guarantee, that is innocent will not be framed. One. Number two, criminal we may not have caught him, but the innocent definitely we will know who is the innocent. Even if you purchase a refurbished mobile phone and that phone is used for earlier committing some crimes, the location of that phone and your phone, the calling pattern of that phone and your phone, calling system of that phone in your phone, refurbishing date of your phone and the earlier phone, all that input is available with us, no worry.
Question is, when online fraud has been happened, so then where will be case be written? ATM place, branch place, yeah, that man is there present.
Boss, as I told you, in case of online fraud, the jurisdiction is the victim's choice. If some victim is there, if he wants to give complaint at his place, not the ATM place, not the bank account place, not the place he has visited, not the place of the website, he need not have to bother. Wherever he is present that day, he can give complaint in that particular local police station.
Thank you, sir. Sir, from which section is the online data removed? Which sections?
On data removal, 79(3)(b).
From which section? 93B. Sir, thank you, sir.
79(3)(b) of IT Act.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Krupali here. I'm National ICT awardee and I'm a teacher by profession. So my question is, like for example, there were some few video conferencing tools which have been reported for data privacy concerns. So like, is there any provision we come to know that the data which is like being taken away by the video conferencing tools, like any ways we could find out which
Hello. Ranjit Kumar, please mute your mic.
Hello.
Krupali,
Hello, sir.
Ranjit, please mute your mic, and Krupali ji, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Sir, is there any way to find out, like, for example, nowadays in COVID scenario, we are seeing a lot of tools are coming in and out for the classroom. And we came to know that a lot of data privacy, security, privacy concerns were there. So, no, as an educator or as a person who is related to education community, we are bothered with our kids' privacy. So, is there any way we could find out that, okay, the tools may have the data, or any way, like, we could come to know about it?
Yeah, actually, CERT, Computer Emergency Response Team India. If you see the website, they have given sufficient alerts about different WebEx meeting software, what to do, and how to prevent security loss, whatever data loss is to be. They have given clarity of each and every tool which is being used by regular educators. However, generally, my suggestion is privacy related to individual, like your servers are having all the data related to the student and lessons, everything in one single location. And you are connected with either Zoom or Cisco, whatever. If some penetration is made, the audio, video which you are saying in the class, that may not be security related stuff, but the data about the children, their family member names, the phone numbers, all that is definitely a security concern. You have to keep a separate server for all those and separate server for your WebEx meetings. Recently, I received a case from one of the prestigious institutions. They were attacked by ransomware, and the entire data is now in the hands of the criminal, not the data, the server access. What the criminal is saying is, send me one important file, I will decrypt it and send it to you back. Then you will, if you want further files to be decrypted, I will decrypt it for so and so bitcoins. This is the way he is demanding. The
Okay.
immediate reaction by the school, because they know me, they have contacted me. Otherwise, the school has resolved to send one important file to the concerned attacker. If he decrypts it, they will send further money. Here my suggestion is, do not send any important file which is to be decrypted. If you send it, then that data, after sending it, he will decrypt and keep it with him. Now he can blackmail it also. Do not send
Okay.
important file. Some idiotic file you can send. If the data is decrypted, then you can think whether it is so and so. Point here is, in case of ransomware, our server data is not with them. Server data is encrypted and we may lose the data. But if you start giving the access to him, then the entire data will be used by other fellows. Second point, if you really want to get the content decrypted, you have to ask the key and you run that key on your system by paying money. But paying money is, you have to take the chance, because if you pay the money, he may send the key, he may not send the key. He may ask you to send the data, or he will decrypt and send it. So kindly, in case of WebEx meetings and all the educators now, keep a proper backup separately so that even ransomware attacks, you will be safe. Most of the ransomware attacks are reported in school environment and hospital environment right now due to lockdown period.
Okay, sir. Sir, I actually faced this home shop 18 thing I faced. I myself lost around 3,000 rupees earlier. Like, I'm a very tech-savvy person, but still I don't know how I got trapped with the call and I went through the process of OTP and all. Luckily, I didn't share the OTP. The Paytm part which I did, I lost 3,000 rupees. But the problem was that the only scenario what Paytm and everybody suggested was to report to police.
Yes.
For the same. So is there any other provision like online reporting? Because at that time I was planning for a education exchange event.
I told you,
Yeah.
cyber crime portal online, you can repeat
Okay.
information.
Yeah.
Okay, then it's not necessary that a police FIR has to be filed.
They need not have to. If you can choose.
Yeah, because I have to.
Yeah, one last question, please. One last question, please.
Oh, hello, sir. I have a question for you.
Yeah, please.
Sir, so this is Prakash Kumar.
Sir, your voice is not clear.
Hello, sir. This is Prakash Kumar.
Yeah, please.
Sir, I work as an assistant professor in engineering college.
Okay.
Actually, sir, whenever we are taking online classes for students, as soon as when students are get connected, we'll be getting so many messages like ordinary text messages like for some apps, this is your OTP, like that it is coming. What exactly it is, sir?
Can you repeat it? Your voice was, I could not get the question part.
Hello. Sir, is it audible now?
Now, yeah.
Sir, whenever we are taking online classes for students, immediately so many messages will be coming to my mobile saying that this is your OTP, you can log into your apps like Flipkart, like Snapdeal. So many messages will be coming, sir. Exactly what it is, sir?
Because most of your students in their mobile phones, they must have stored your number that day. All the contact numbers will go to their applications where student's phone has all the applications. Automatically, send messages do come. The bulk messages do come to you. You just ignore it.
Okay, sir. Okay. So it is not like hacking or...
No.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Sir, when
Thank you, Ashish.
Sir,
I think there is a question. No, no.
last question, sir. Last question, sir. Last question, sir. Sir, when law enforcement agency, just like IO, demand the data like CDR, SDR by 91 CRPC, but ISP, MSP not given the data, then next process by the IO.
They have to give, if you issue 91 CRPC notice, if they are not giving CDR, SDR, file a case against them.
Sir.
They will give. Send notice under section 41. Send a notice under section 41 of CRPC. They will give.
Sir, thank you.
We have done several cases where we have even sent one person to arrest them. Automatically started giving.
Okay, thank you all. I think there is one question from IT Cell Siddipet. Who is that? Can you ask that question? IT Cell Siddipet. Because the question is not there in the chat room. Last question, please. IT Cell Siddipet.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Please go ahead. Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, recently a case has been come, sir, that the parental control app has been installed in his phone. And 20,000 of amount has been deducted from his phone pay and Google Pay amount. And also sent a request to his friends that please send the amount I am in need. Please send the amount of 4,000 or 5,000 else.
Okay.
And for 10 of their friends has been went the message, sir.
Actually, the application may be faulty, one, or they must have used another method of remote desktop entry method. The victim might have not informed you properly. They must have initially asked to install any type of remote desktop entry methods. They must have used it to send message to all their friends. That is one. Or the application itself may be faulty, might have downloaded from unknown source, not from the Google Play Station or App Lab.
Sir, the victim has reset his phone also, sir, after seeing this.
Yeah, the victim, once he resets the phone, probably he has not given you the correct detail. But even if he resets the phone, if the phone model supports, you can use the UFED. In Siddipet also there is UFED to recover all the applications which are available before that resetting. You may see several of such fake applications in it.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Thank you very much, sir. And Murthy sir, can you please take over the mic, sir? Murthy sir. Murthy sir.
Sir, it's like thank you very much for with us, sir. So it's a great for us. You know that you are guiding me for entire national awareness program from 2006-7 onwards, and you are the first person who established the labs in DSCI in association with the DSCI at Hyderabad. Such kind of rich experience which we definitely we won't get anywhere. Like conducting 5,000 workshops across India and even supporting the international police organizations. It's a very grateful for us, sir, by having you with us. And definitely we will take some people. Most of the people are messaging me. They wanted to join because of the limitation of application and that whatever the initial disturbance, we are not allowed them. They were requesting one more session if possible in the next coming days anytime for those who are not able to. But we will try our best. That is what we have sent the message. So in case if your time permits, sometime after 2 weeks, so we will come back to you, sir, once again, and to take up some kind of the interest of among the people. I'm very thankful to you, sir, for joining with us. And with this, we also, even though some of the things which I am not known, are able to know the things from you. So it's kind of a life learning with you whenever we are meeting you. So thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Murthy ji, one more suggestion. If they are interested to take the information by sending questions to you, you can give mail ID to them. All the questions you just segregate, which are repeats and other things. We will write the answer and send it to them so that they will be happy.
Sure, sir. We will take all the, we will pass the mission, and everybody can take isea@cdac.in. This is the mail ID. With respect to the cyber crimes and cyber spots and in the related technology, you please tell us, then pass this information to sir, get the right answers from him, and we'll share it again. Thank you very much, sir, for with us, and I'm very delighted by having you, and thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks a lot, Andarki. Jagdish, Naresh, Murthy garu, you're all supporting me since long. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your beautiful, wonderful, and long session. I think people are also delighted, and it was enlightening for all of us on various aspects which we don't know and which we have never heard about such kind of things. And as Murthy sir suggested, maybe we request you for one more session in coming days, sir. So based on your availability, based on your schedule, please give us one more date, sir, so that we will organize this session, so maximum number of people will get benefit out of it, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. This is Naresh. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Naresh.
Thank you. It was very nice, and people are keep on messaging. IT sales people reach out to, and so many members are there. They just seeing your name, they wanted to join the program. Thank you, sir. It was very nice, wonderful session, and all the new cases we learned today. In spite of learning so many days, in this 1 month we have learned, attended so many programs, but this session, particular session we attended, we have seen this was our opportunity to know new cases which are happening around. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Hello, sir. Organizer.
Yeah, please tell me, sir.
Sir, will we get certificates for this session?
Certificate, I think, like who are all there, please enter your unique ID number. Unique ID number. Okay. Then only we will give, those people only will get an email from us. We request all the participants, please enroll your, please enter your unique ID number, which was sent along with the mail in the morning. So please check that and enter your unique ID number. Only those people will get the link, so that you can undergo the assessment, and you will get your certificate. Okay?
Sir, right now only in this only we have to share that.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
And we request all of you, please join for afternoon session also. I will be sharing the afternoon session link shortly, so that one more session is there on the digital well-being. Okay, you all can join, and you all can learn from there also. Okay.
Unique ID, you mean meeting password?
Meeting number, right, sir?
No. In the morning when you receive the mail, there you are having a unique ID, unique participant ID. Sandeep, are you there?
We got two things like meeting number and meeting password.
No, not meeting ID and not password. During the registration.
Hello?
Send that one.
Sandeep, go ahead.
Hello, everybody who are registered for the online session, once the registration is done, a unique ID is being sent as part of mail. Once the registration for the online session is completed, a mail will be sent your respective mail IDs where the unique ID will be available. We request to post that particular unique ID.
It's not there in the mail. I've just seen the mail before.
Not finding any unique IDs, sir.
No, not today mail.
Yeah, 3 days back.
Registration is happened. When registration is happened,
when the registration is done, a registration mail with the details has been sent. In the same mail, the unique ID will be available, sir.
Yeah, sir, it is there.
Sir,
It is there in the public.
last session, I fill the name, but certificate is wrong. My name printed.
Sir, please try to understand. Okay, what are the email ID you have registered? The same email ID you have to register. And what are the mobile phone number you have given? The same mobile phone has to be number has to be filled. And what is the meeting ID? So meeting ID is 9 digits, 3 digits space, 3 digits space, 3 digits space. So you have to understand it, you have to fill it. Please don't,
My
please
spelling mistake.
don't.
Spelling
That we cannot do, sir. Like what?
mistake, sir. Spelling mistake is my certificate, sir.
Sir, whatever the spelling you are entering, the same spelling will be displayed on the certificate, sir. We won't modify any of your spelling at all. Like whatever the fill you are doing, the same fill we
Sir,
want.
where we will write the unique ID number?
Here itself in the chat room. Please complete it in
chat
another
room
5
will write.
minutes.
My name is last content is
Okay.
SRIVASTAB.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. Sir.
Yes, tell me, sir.
Sir.
Yeah, Prakash, sir, please
Sir.
go ahead. Hello.
His last name SRIVASTAB, but print is only SRIVA.
सर एक जानकारी दीजिए मुझे कि जैसे आज का रजिस्टर नहीं किया है उसके बाद मैसेज से डायरेक्ट वहाँ से मीटिंग आईडी और पासवर्ड से अटेंड किया मीटिंग तो इज देयर एनी पॉसिबिलिटी टू गिव सर्टिफिकेट?
No, thank you. No, thank you. Next session you may register so that you may get your certificate. Okay?
Well, I have received a mail when I registered, but the mail only
that number. Shall I get that certificate?
Sir, can we use the same meeting ID for in the afternoon session also?